Evening all, welcome to some more tactics. Right, we are going to look at some tanking tactics. Now, this is basic stuff. This is literally like tanking 101. So here we go. First one is obviously check who's in the map before you call the tank. This is a pretty obvious one, but I see a lot of people not doing this. If you see known or notorious tankers or known or notorious gangs of people, then you may not want to throw your tank away on this map, and it may be something to, maybe I'd use a cheap one, so a Soma or a Seeker, and maybe go for that. This is not to be underestimated. So many people will blindly call a tank in, they never really look at who's on the opposing team, and they just basically lose everything. Second is probably just a minor point, I guess, is war points. One of the key things you probably want to do is put orders on your tanks and then drive around and kill things. Now, I am doing something that annoys a lot of people, and I don't generally do this, but hey, it's only a pub match, which is killing turrets, and I kill every turret that I find. This is because turrets will kill tanks. Without question. Even if you think that you've hacked everything and they're all blue, you'll come around a corner and find that one of them has been hacked and there's a gunner on it. So your best tactic in most cases is to kill everything you see, just like that. So here we go. Prime example. This guy's hacked the turret and it's a pretty risky looking turret. It's a railgun turret, so never really a threat, but best just dealt with. And the same for this one here. You could probably hack it and you probably get some benefit from it, but the reality is, as tankers, you just want to get rid of those things as soon as possible, because the damage they can do upon you is phenomenal, even if they are kind of more strategically on your side. Now, don't kill red line turrets, because obviously there's very little chance of them being hacked. But hey, people will still do that. But what can you do? So there we go. So I think that's probably point one, guys, nicely covered. Point two, keep moving. This is something again, and just to be very clear with you, me giving tips on tanking is hilarious because I'm terrible at it. But I'm getting better, and these are just, I guess, collective wisdoms that I've got from good tankers who seem to say roughly the same things. And keep moving is probably a key one. If you keep moving, then you are very difficult to locate, you are very difficult to shoot and target as well. So never stand still for too long. If you think of it almost as if I stand still for maybe more than 5 seconds, I am at very high risk of being zeroed in on and killed. So it just makes perfect sense to keep moving. And I would say this is probably one of the key survival strategies of tanks, is just keep moving around the map as best you can. And I think if you can master this, so this is not just keep moving in a kind of round and round the way that I'm doing today, but just keep moving in a kind of flowing pattern that means that it's very difficult for them to kind of predict where you're going to be. Can't stress that enough. I think to me that's an absolutely critical one, and it gives you the opportunity to have encounters like this where basically you can kill stuff. Number three, manage your modules. Again, obvious stuff, but here's just a great tip. If you run 2 hardness, start the first one, let it run to half, then start the second one. So pretty much you're not having both of your hardness cool down at the same time. I know it's so simple, but I didn't do that for a long time until somebody told me to do it. So if you're running hardness, that's a great thing to do. Also, just have an appreciation of your vulnerability and how long that is. So for example, I have my 2 hardness running here, and if I had my repper running, then I know to be careful, obviously not to get into too much of an engagement until the repper is actually cooled down and ready to use again. Another prime kind of mini one here is keep an eye out for forge gunners and people like this. If you tank, you will come across people who hate you for tanking. And this is a big issue. Forge guns, I think, are great against tanks, and if anything, I'm actually probably going to say they need a bit of a boost against tanks. I know that's going to cause a huge amount of rage, but we met a couple of tanks today that just wiped the floor with all of our tanks, all of our troops and everything. So I think at the moment, prototype tanking fits are a bit OP. Scan and watch for AV teams. I guess kind of following on from that, pretty much you have to keep an eye out for AV teams. Most of the time it takes about 2 or 3 minutes into the round, and when people have started to die and notice that a tank's there, for them to start spawning in primarily AV gear. Now this comes in 3 flavors. AV grenades, which are not too much of a threat anymore, to be honest with you, although prototype ones still are. Forge guns, which are deadly, and they are always going to be deadly, and they should be deadly, and I agree totally they should be. And then the kind of wild card is swarm launchers. Militia swarm launchers against a well-fit tank shouldn't be too much of a problem. Obviously, in number or in mass, you're going to have a problem, but generally, militia swarms you shouldn't present you too much of an issue. However, prototype swarms hurt like balls. If you find that you're taking a huge amount of damage and you feel that you're at risk of pretty much losing the tank, if you're getting redlined, then don't be afraid to recall it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. That's what the tactic is there for. Let's just break very quickly. This guy came in as a tanker and he was focused so clearly on trying to kill my squad mate that basically I snuck up behind him and started laying into him. Now he's hit now a speed boost to try and get out of here, and that's also a good tactic if you want to run that kind of thing, but in this case it didn't save him and he got owned, son. So there we go. Now again, always be aware, he probably didn't have a scanner, he probably wasn't aware of what was going on. Look at this guy, how is he zipping forward, back and forward like that? No, I just don't know how people move so fast sometimes. Anyway, so there we go. So you have to watch out for the AV teams. If they're solo AV, you can usually easily tank it and kill them quite happily. If they are a full AV team, you better get the hell out. Understanding about efficiency is important with tanking. Every time you flash across a target, you'll see a little percentage come up, and that shows you how effective your turret is going to be against the shield and then the armor of the target. And remember, the two are different, so you could have a 100% efficiency against a shield that once you get to armor then drops low. So you see here that efficiency rating, it had a sort of small percentage, 100% efficient against that guy's suit. And that's why we melted him very quickly. But again, I'm aware that they have forge gun teams and they're basically hunting me now. You're probably noticing in this match as well, it's a very close match, so pretty much if you can call who's going to win this, then good on you, because it was pretty frantic all the way. And this guy almost got me, and this was again a great example of me not following my own rules, because I paused, I panicked, I basically stopped and didn't continue with my escape plan should I have needed it, and it gave him plenty of time to put a lot of AV grenades on me. Upon taking damage, plan and escape. Nice segue. And this is a key one. If you start taking damage in the tank, even if it's just completely superficial, it still means something's hitting you, or something's at least got you in its sights. So maybe just start to think about what's a good escape route from this point. Always look to maybe where you can boost away to or round a corner from as well. This is quite important, because if you've got swarm launchers or militia or rather forge guns shooting you, you need to get out of cover. You need to get into cover and out of sight, basically. And I cannot stress that enough. I think it's a critical thing to do. Some minor points now. If you're running in a squad, a full squad, then try and get 2 gunners to sit in the gunning seats and have your squad leader put an order on the tank to defend it, because you get a phenomenal amount of war points for the tank kill and the tank defend order of the 2 troops within the tank as well. So basically it just showers points over everybody. I can't recommend you do that enough. It really is critical that you do that, because you will then get, in this map we had 3 orbitals without trouble at all, straight away 3 orbitals. And I think, the orbitals do swing it, so don't always disregard them. But as you can see, it was a closely fought match. It was as it was getting towards its dying point, it was pretty shady whether or not we were going to survive. Or rather win. So at this point we were trying to hack back D, try and get that back under our control, but again it was pretty much flip a coin to see who won time. Probably the last one is a really key one, and this is going to be a really obvious one, but you'd be amazed how often people don't. Have fun. If you're going to tank, tanking is fun. I cite this from, pretty much tanking is the closest an EVE player will get to EVE and Dust. Okay, so running a tank is, okay, with the exception of maybe dropships, but I still think tanks are amazing fun, and I think you can't go too far wrong, but you need to really get into them, and don't worry about loss. If you lose a tank, so what? Oh well, it's the way it is. And there we go, we won the round as well, so it was a pretty good round for us. A great, shout out for tanks here, because, I didn't lose the tank and I won 372k ISK. So a couple of rounds like that and I've effectively paid for my tank. And you'll notice the amount of war points as well, just for me. And that comes from having all of those orders on me, the tank gunners doing well, and the tank obviously killing a few people. So, I really cannot stress enough, you must just do all of these kind of, basic tricks and hints, and then you'll do quite well. I'm sure there are many, many more advanced tank tactics, and we'll do that another time. Today was really just about the basics of tanking, and it's nice to see a lot more tanks coming in, and I'm enjoying killing them and unfortunately being killed by them. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.